I would. Yeah, because that was my next question. How far can this go? Is it normal? Like, for instance, is there a CAWEE discount to encourage people to use businesses within the circle, or is there something that, aside from just the camaraderie, or is the camaraderie enough? Maybe the.
Well, I mean, if you're a member, you have access to the membership base, and
right.
so you're definitely able to promote your
market.
Resources, and not just that, but your workshops, your seminars. We have an internal newsletter. You can brag about yourself. I made sure that BizBuzz went out today to our network.
Nice.
Because I can brag about me when I'm a part of CAWEE.
Right.
And members also pay, like we do a fee for our networking events and our evening events, and we do professional development lunch and learn events, and members all get discounts for those, plus, and good discounts for those, plus you can always bring a guest at a member rate, which I find great because as a small business owner, you know, I can't be taking people out to, you know, $500 golf events, you know, to treat them. But if I can bring a client to a lunch and learn, you know, for $50, $60, it's terrific because it's, you know, the clients really appreciate it.
So what was, for you personally, what was your biggest adjustment coming out of the so-called corporate world, moving into business for yourself? For you, what was
for me,
the wake-up call?
Yes. Well, for me, actually, it was focusing down on what was I going to offer that people would understand, because I think you often come out of a corporate environment and you do so many things, and it's really hard to sell so many things. And again, I was able through the networking events to practice, you know, that elevator speech every time I introduced myself.
Yes.
And it's funny because I think I was someone different every month until I got it right. And they all hung in there, you know, and it was great because one day I finally sort of went, okay, this is working, and that's great. But that was what was hard for me. And that takes, I think that takes a bit.
Yeah. Well, and I guess going along hand in hand with that, what would be your next, when you moved into business, did you start with your business plan and move along that route, or was it a little more organic than that?
I did start with a plan of what I wanted to do, but I didn't see people jumping up and down for what I was trying to offer. So I had to back up, and I really had to enter at where people understood what I do. And it's interesting because, I mean, originally, I mean, I'm trained as a writer, and that's what I do. But of course, I was promoting myself as a communications consultant.
Yes.
And I had to find out that when I said I'm a writer, people understood it. And that was, and in that way, it was more organic because I had to people had to get to know me. I mean, the only way people know that you're any good is when they start working for you.
Right.
But again, one of the early things I did is I worked on the CAWEE newsletter, and then one of the members left working on the newsletter and actually left her job as a writer to go in-house somewhere, and she literally gave me 3 of her clients.
Wow.
I mean, it was amazing. And
That's
again,
so generous. That deserves a Christmas card or a holiday card.
Yeah, it certainly deserved a nice bottle of something.
Yes,
and
you're allowed to say, by the way.
Yeah, and literally, I have done thousands of dollars worth of work stemming from you know, I mean, of the 3 contacts, one worked out particularly well, and then it causes referrals. But that was a direct benefit of being in association, and she didn't know me personally. She just knew through CAWEE that I was reliable, and I showed up, and I knew what I was doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I always loved that. I thought, like, wow, you give someone your clients, you know.
Yeah, that's quite a testament of trust.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what would you recommend to anybody getting in, like, knowing, like, well, let me ask you this. Would you do it all again?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. And, excuse me, I think people are wise to check out a few organizations because that way you can kind of tell what doesn't work. Right. I mean, there's great networking stories, particularly for women going to networking events where you feel like you're at some pickup bar. It's like awful. You know, it's just like you're there and you're going like, why am I here? Why am I spending my evening with these people? It's awful. Yeah. So you really need to do a bit of that to appreciate the ones that work. But the thing is, men network differently than women, but definitely women need to check out a few of the associations, and trust that even though they might be shy about it or not really know what it's all about, that it's valuable, because it really is a great way to not just get business, but to be supported in business.
See, I find that a lot of these networks, and I guess my advice to people would be is there's a big difference between the networks that basically I'll go to some networks and I'll realize that I'm standing in a room of everybody who's selling.
Oh, yeah.
And that's tough because number one, it's exhausting for everybody. But also too, what I mean is that if there's no buyers, so it can be a very frustrating event because everybody's putting on the swag and giving and throwing their elevator pitches around, and yet there's really no buyers there. And you find with this economy, there's more and more of these events that you find, maybe not just with CAWEE, but with anything else that you go to, that a lot of them are not worth the time like they used to be.